This is a plausibly live look at Soldier Field in Chicago, where later on Tuesday you'll watch the Cleveland Browns take on the Chicago Bears as the Bears defend their Super Bowl championship. This is a plausibly live look at Texas Stadium in Irving, where on Wednesday you'll watch the New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys battle on our tape game, the Monday Night Football opener for the 1986 season. Can Phil Simms and Joe Morris lead the Giants to victory? What's up with Danny White? How good is he really? We'll find out soon. And last but not least, here's a live look at Mile High Stadium in Denver. Is this the year that John Elway gets over the hump? Or can the just win baby Los Angeles Raiders get back to win another Super Bowl? Find out these questions. Well, we'll watch that game on Thursday Live, but find out these questions and others as we do Fake Football Today. Retro Sports Network, in coordination with DigitalDice.com, presents Fake Football Today, your weekly preview to the football 1986 NFL season, right here on Retro Sports Network. Why, hi there, I'm Ron Juckett. Welcome to the program. We got 3 exciting games for you this week, starting later on Tuesday at noon Eastern with the defending champion Chicago Bears and the Cleveland Browns. Then our tape game Wednesday night will be the New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys. And then our last live game of Week 1 on Thursday at noon will be the Los Angeles Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Should be some intriguing matchups. The Broncos and Giants, of course, would meet in the real-life Super Bowl. Chicago would go 14-2. They are the defending Super Bowl champions, but it's been chaos in Chicago. Buddy Ryan, the architect of the 4-6, would leave to go to Philadelphia to coach the Eagles. Vince Tobin is the new defensive coordinator for Chicago. Can they do it? They went 14-2 in real life. Can they give the Giants a run for the money and get back to the Super Bowl? We'll find out soon enough. Now, the AFC teams, we're going to see 2 of them this week. Cleveland, they got a tough road to hoe. Yeah, they're really good. They're going to win the AFC Central. Marty Schottenheimer, Bernie Kosar, the running back tandem of Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner. Cleveland's going to do just fine, thank you. In fact, if it wasn't for John Elway, they probably would have at least gone to 1 or 2 Super Bowls and maybe even won one of them. But that's not for here for there. Cleveland is a solid and stacked team. They have a tough opener against the Bears, though, coming up. And, of course, the other 2 AFC, the Raiders and the Broncos. The Raiders, they're going to start Jim Plunkett, we think, in their game on Thursday. He's going to have, he and Mark Wilson split the playing time. Injuries, of course. Plunkett was an older quarterback. The Broncos, well, John Elway, this would be the year he would break through. Of course, you know what he did in the AFC Championship game. Brought him, tied the game on the last-minute drive to send the game to overtime, and then won the game in overtime. And as you know, Elway was just launched into orbit during the Super Bowl, as in he was personally launched by the Giants defense into orbit. So it's going to be a tough road to hoe. And, of course, you got the Patriots, who are probably favorites in the AFC East. Cleveland probably will win the AFC Central, and a tight race in the AFC West between Denver and maybe San Diego. That division could be really, really tight. And, of course, we haven't even talked about, we're 5 minutes into this thing, and I haven't even mentioned Joe Montana and Jim Everett. Can the 49ers get back in the Super Bowl hunt? You know they're a really good team. Los Angeles could give San Francisco a run for their money. Los Angeles almost won that division. In real life, San Francisco eked it out. And so, there you go. The other good teams, of course, Minnesota. Bud Grant's gone. They're in the Metrodome. What are they going to do? Can they contend? Well, I'll tell you what. We ran a full season simulation before the game. Let's show you how that went. We did not play any of the playoff games, but if all things considered, the computer ran it, no interference from me, just pure football, no rule changes, and injuries limited to what they had in real life. So let's go through what we think might happen. The Giants won the East, but it wasn't pretty. They do go 8-0 at home. They average 20 points a game. Their defense. They win the NFC East by 2 games over Dallas, who would be a wild card team if this held. 6-2 at home, Dallas, 5-3 in the division, and 7-5 in the conference. St. Louis and Philadelphia and Washington. Now, Washington, remember, went to the NFC Championship game, and the computer has this team at 5-11. That's pretty remarkable. If you ask me, St. Louis 8-8, and Buddy Ryan's first year in Philadelphia, 7-9. But their defense, or their offense, isn't very good. Now, the Central. Here's a surprise, because Chicago went 14-12, or 14-2 in real life. Minnesota and Chicago theoretically tie for the division at 12-4. Divisional records are the same, 6-2. Chicago would win on the basis of the conference record, 10-2 to Minnesota's 9-3. But look at the Vikings. They scored 465 points in our simulated replay. Chicago to 374. In the West, San Francisco runs away with it, 13-3. How about that? And win the division by 5 games over New Orleans and Atlanta, with Los Angeles at 7-9. That's pretty amazing. So in the AFC, in the East, the Patriots and the Jets would finish in a 9-7 tie, and the Jets, with their 8-4 conference record and 6-2 divisional record, would win the tiebreaker. Now, New England won it in real life, and we'll post the real life stats in just a second. Miami 8-8 in Buffalo, Jim Kelly's first year, and Marv Levy 7-9. I don't see it being that tight. I think New England's a better team. New York can surprise, and they can score at will. However, New York gave up more points than they scored. And the Colts, we won't talk about the Colts. In the Central, Cleveland wins it by our projection by 4 games, 13-3. They score 477 points, the most for any team in football. They go 8-0 at home, 4-2 in the division, and 10-2 in the conference. Houston gets a wild card at 9-7. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh round out the back of the division, although Cincinnati had a good year at 8-8. In the West, Denver 10-6. They win their last 3, 7-5 in the conference, but they don't play the division, 3-5. San Diego, Kansas City, surprising, and Seattle are 8-8. The Raiders finish 4-12. And so the team that won by the most points, Cleveland and Minnesota, in the NFC. In a moment, we'll tell you what happened in real life. Now, for reference, here's the real life standings from the 1986 season. The Cowboys would go 7-9 in real life, so I'm kind of curious how they're going to go 12-4. The Redskins, the wild card at 12-4 in the NFC East, and the Giants would go 14-2 and score 371 points. In the NFC Central, the Bears and Vikings tied in our replay, but the Bears won the division by 5 games over Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay. Just not much to shoot home about. In the NFC West, it was a tie with Atlanta that propelled San Francisco to the divisional title. San Francisco wins it easy in our replay. The Rams will get the wild card. They would play the Redskins. Atlanta and New Orleans having good years, but just short of 500. In the AFC East, the Patriots and the Jets in real life had that down to the wire replay. The Patriots won by a game. Miami 8-8. Buffalo kind of playing over their head a bit, but we have some of that in our Action PC replays at times. And the Colts 3-13. AFC Central, Cincinnati actually finished 10-6 in real life, so they lost 2 games more in the replay. Cleveland, 2-game winner. In the West, it's interesting. The Raiders underperformed in our replay. They go 8-8 in real life. Denver 11-5, Kansas City 10-6, Seattle 10-6. Kansas City got the wild card. And so if you forget the playoffs that year, the Jets and Redskins won at home. Their wild card games, the divisional playoffs, Cleveland beat the Jets. I think that was a double overtime game. Washington went to Chicago and beat the Bears 27-13. And the Sunday games, Denver down New England 22-17. Boy, I don't remember it being that close. The Giants hurt Joe Montana and destroyed the 49ers 49-3. Conference championships, yep, Denver over Cleveland. You know that game. The Giants shut out Washington 17-0, and the Giants won the Super Bowl 39-20. And now a look at what really happened in our 3 Week 1 games. In the game you were about to see, the Chicago Bears beat the Browns 41-31, which the surprise was the Bears gave up 31 points. The other surprise was the Bears barely held on to a 21-7 lead. Defense got it off early. Wilbur Marshall with a 58-yard interception return. Dennis Gentry with a kickoff return for a touchdown. Yep, that's how the Bears did it in 85. That's how they start in 86, 21-7. But the Browns cut it to, at one point, a 3-point game in the third quarter. Kevin Mack on a 14-yard rush made it 24-21. Again, in the fourth quarter, Brian Brennan caught a 15-yard touchdown pass from Bernie Kosar to make it 34-31. But Matt Suey with a late touchdown made it 41-31. If you're wondering about the line, give the Bears 10.5, and the over-under is 38. And Bernie Kosar just had a monster day, threw for 289 yards against the Bears. Now the tape game, the one you'll see Wednesday. The Cowboys came back late to win it over the Giants 31-28. Imagine having Tony Dorsett and Herschel Walker in the same backfield. Well, Danny White hit Tony Dorsett for a 36-yard touchdown pass. Herschel Walker scored to make it 14-0. The Giants fought back. They got to 14-14 on a 3-yard pass from Phil Simms to save Stacy Robinson. In fact, they went ahead in the third quarter on a Joe Morris touchdown run, 21-17. But the Cowboys fought back. Thornton Chandler in a 1-yard pass made 24-21, and then trailing 28-24, Herschel Walker ran it in from the 10 to make it 38-21. New York, by the way, was a 1.5-point favorite in the game, and your over-under is 41. Phil Simms went 22 for 45 for 300 yards in the real game. Danny White, 23 of 39 for 279. Last but not least, the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Raiders. A barn burner. The Raiders were at one point up 19-7. Including a safety on John Elway, 2 Mark Wilson touchdown passes. Then Denver came back. At one point, it was 19-7. Denver got to within 22-21. Then Marcus Allen made it 29-21. Denver did not lead until the last score of the game, a 7-yard pass from John Elway to Gene Lang, 38-36. Denver, a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 38.5. Mark Wilson, 20 of 33 in the real game for 346. Marcus Allen, 6 catches, 100 yards, and 24 rushes for 102. He scored for both. John Elway, 21 of 35 for 239. Denver is not going to be able to run the ball very well, but they can throw. Oh, by the way, looking at my simulation, the 3 predicted games by Action PC: Cleveland 24, Chicago 13, Los Angeles 24, Denver 14, and Dallas 30, the Giants 10. We'll see how that works. So join us tomorrow at noon or Tuesday at noon for live football. It's the Bears and the Browns to start the replay. I'm Ron Juckett for DigitalDice.com. This has been Fake Football Today, your preview of the upcoming week in our 1986 NFL preview. Join us at noon on Tuesday for the Bears and the Browns from Soldier Field in Chicago. Until then, I'm Ron Juckett. We'll talk to you the next time.